One thing we always try to do at the beginning of our videos is tell you what tools you're going to need to do the job so you can kind of plan ahead to know what you're going to need. Now, some of our more involved installations, we're going to say you need a well-stocked toolbox, which basically means we used a lot of tools, probably didn't keep track of the entire list, and are just saying expect to use a lot of tools to do that installation. Now, what is a well-stocked toolbox? Well, that's going to vary for a lot of people. Now, if you're at home and you're just getting started working on your car, you don't need a toolbox like this loaded with tools. But there are some essential tools you are going to need, and today we're going to discuss them. If you're planning on working on your car, the tools you're going to use the absolute most are going to be sockets and ratchets. There's no way around it. You're going to need a good set of sockets and ratchets to work on your car. Now, which ones do you need? Well, they're going to come in basically three sizes. You have your 1/4 inch, your 3/8 inch, and your 1/2 inch. Now, your 1/4 inch is going to be more for like your smaller jobs. You're going to go up to a certain size. At that point, you'd have to go to a 3/8. And again, same thing with 3/8. It'll reach a certain point, and typically you're going to go up to your 1/2 inch. Now, if you're just starting off, 1/4 and 3/8 is a great way to start. I mean, 3/8 will get you up to about a 19 millimeter socket, 13/16, something like that in regular. So this will get you pretty far without having to go into the cost of adding 1/2 inch just yet. Just keep in mind though, when you're doing wheels and stuff like that, you will need 1/2 inch to do most of your wheel lug nuts. Now, as far as the different sizes go, you're going to have both metric and standard. Now, if you're working on a Mustang, unfortunately, Mustang is one of those cars that you're going to have both. Now, most of your classics will be mostly standard sockets, especially when you get to the new ones, you're going to see standard, but you're going to see a lot more metric. So again, if you're buying a set, you're kind of going to want to get both. And then when it comes to different size sockets, you're going to obviously have your deep and your shallow socket. And again, both have purpose. Now, you'll find if you watch my videos, I use deep sockets almost all the time. I find them easier to use, but there are some places where the shallow comes in, and most sets you're going to buy are going to have both shallow and deep with them. The other thing of extreme value is going to be a good set of extensions, and there's wobble extensions and locking extensions. But if you're just starting out, a set of standard extensions will work fine. Now, those will allow you to reach where you can't get in with just a socket and ratchet and make your life a lot easier. So again, starting out, you're going to need 1/4 and 3/8 for sure, but plan on adding 1/2 inch as well. And here's a place where you don't need the most expensive stuff. If you're just wrenching, casually, weekend warrior, whatever, buy good stuff. You don't necessarily have to get the best stuff, but here's a spot where it's not a bad idea to spend money because a good set of ratchets and a good set of sockets will pretty much last you a lifetime. The next tools you're absolutely going to need are going to be a good set of wrenches. And again, wrenches come in all kinds of shapes and sizes. Now, again, like the sockets, you're going to have your standard and your metric, and in the Mustang world, you're kind of going to need both. When it comes to wrenches, you've got your fixed wrenches, you've got ratcheting wrenches, you've got offset wrenches, you've got miniature wrenches, there's some brake line wrenches. But I suggest starting off with either a good set of ratcheting wrenches or a good set of fixed wrenches. And again, you want to have both metric and standard because you're going to need them on the Mustang. Now, the ratcheting wrench makes life a lot easier because basically it ratchets like a socket. You can flip this back and forth, and you can go either direction with it, which makes it a lot easier to use. Now, the fixed mount wrench, because this is a fixed end, will take more abuse, but you don't get that ratcheting benefit. So usually I'd say start off, if you can afford it, with a set of ratcheting wrenches, but at the least bit, you'll need a set of good fixed mount wrenches. Now, sometimes you got to get a hold on something that either your ratchet or wrench can't get to, and that's when you need some pliers. And also for cutting, you're going to use your pliers as well. Now, pliers come in all shapes and sizes. You got massive channel locks here, you got some minis like these here, but most of the time you can get a decent set of pliers that'll have anywhere from 5 to 8 pliers and will give you everything you need. And this here has a nice mixture of like your channel lock plier, your diagonal cutting plier, a couple different versions of needle nose pliers, you have a multi-use plier, an end cutting plier. All these will come in kits, and again, they're great when you have to cut certain things or for holding things when a wrench or a socket just won't work. Next on the list, again, a tool you can't live without, and that is a good set of screwdrivers. Now, screwdrivers come in all kinds of shapes and sizes. You'll go to the store and you'll see kits that have 20 or 30 screwdrivers in them. There's all kinds of different options there. Now, you got your two different styles basically. You got your flathead screwdriver and you have your Phillips screwdriver. Now, flatheads come in different sizes, as do Phillips. You have your number 1, your number 2, your number 3. That's basically the size of the screw the head's going to fit into. One of the best ways I found to do this is to start off with a ratcheting screwdriver with separate tips. That way you have one screwdriver, you have the ratcheting capability, and you can put whatever tip you want in there, whether it be a Phillips, a flathead, or a bunch of other Torx, Hex, whatever heads. makes it a lot easier to use. Now there are times where this won't work, so having some basic screwdrivers is still a good idea, and something like this is not a bad idea either. Now these are going to be micro screwdrivers. There will be times in the installation, whatever you're working on, where you just need a tiny little screwdriver. Sometimes it's for wiring, sometimes it's for lighting, it could be for assembly, but again, these will come in handy. But when you're just getting started, start off with a good ratcheting screwdriver with a bunch of tips, and that'll handle most jobs. Now it's time for one of the most fun tools, and that is a hammer. Now while hammers have a ton of use, you always got to be careful with a hammer because they tend to hit the things you're actually not swinging at, so you want to be really careful with a hammer. But a hammer has a ton of uses. I mean, I can't even really begin to get into how many times you're going to use a hammer to loosen something, help something free up, knock something out of the way, whatever it happens to be. The hammer is a very useful tool. And hammers come in all shapes and sizes. You have your mallets, your sledgehammers, your dead blow hammers, but a good basic hammer you're going to use a lot. I mean, something like this size here, one of these, maybe a small sledge. If you're just getting started, a couple small hammers like that will make life a lot easier, and you can add other style hammers as you find the need for them. Next, we're going to talk about it. It's something that has become a lot more popular in newer cars, and that's going to be Allen and Torx head. Now, again, these come in a couple different versions. You've got sockets, extended sockets. They're available in key version, T-handle, and even fold-out keys. But again, they're going to be something that's going to be very valuable working on your car. Now, Torx is going to be numbers. You have T20, T25, T30. Allen keys are going to be in metric and standard. And again, working on the Mustang, you're probably going to want to get both. So the more work you do, the more you can determine how many of these you need. Now, basic set like this, it's a great way to get started. That's going to give you your Allen keys, get yourself a set of Torx sockets, and that'll get you going. But the more involved you get with your Mustang, the more work you do, you'll see the value in having other sizes of Torx, extended Torx, stuff like that, because this is a tool you're going to use a lot more than you would think. Now, the last thing we're going to talk about is going to be prying tools. And prying tools come in all shapes and sizes, from pry bars to plastic pry bars to tools for door panels or clips or stuff like that. But if you're starting out working on your car, you'll want a decent set of pry bars. Now, pry bars is one of the most dangerous tools probably out there, next to maybe hammers, because a pry bar, whenever you're prying on anything, that's about the point the pry bar is going to slip and you're going to hit something you're not supposed to. But again, a pry bar is very valuable, whether it's suspension components, exhaust components, whatever. A good set of pry bars will definitely come in handy. Now, when you're working on things that are a little more delicate, plastic pry bars make life a lot easier. This is interior components, some body panels, stuff like that. This makes it a lot easier to get underneath them, but the plastic is less marring and damaging than the metal ones, make it a lot easier to get to them. Plastic come in a lot of different tool shapes. You see here some of the normal standard ones. You got some larger style ones that have slots in them. These are better for clips and stuff like that. But again, there's a ton of things you can do with plastic pry bars. Now over here we have more panel tools. Those will be your door panel tools. That's a clip removal tool. But those things are great, again, for working on things that are held in place by the Christmas tree style clips. And especially with your modern cars, that's a ton of different things. But even back to the classics, they use door panel clips. That's something like that's going to really come in handy for. Again, the plastic pry bars and a good set of metal bars are a great way to start, but you'll find the more the work on your car, the more prying tools you're going to own. So those are the basics for what we would call a well-stocked toolbox if you're working on your car at home.